almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
I mean, you gotta love it when something that was considered a conspiracy theory turns out to be conspiracy fact. And I would say ever since 2020 and the whole C event, people have woken up more to know, hey, this crazy stuff that's going on is actually real. There's actually factual basis to it. And as you guys are going to see, not only is it being admitted that they have it, but you have government officials that are holding congressional hearings to even admit that this type of technology exists. So even though this is probably one of the most talked about things right now, because with the whole Elon Musk and Starlink and all the type of stuff that's going on with the transmission of waves in general, of frequencies, this voice to skull technology is being talked about more than ever. Now, what I find interesting is, let's go based off, for the people that don't know what voice to skull technology is. Let's go over, a rundown. And what's funny is this report on it was written before it was already proven to be real, like in a court of law proven that it was real. So V2K, V2K, which is voice to skull and remote neural monitoring, refers to controversial concepts, all right, not so controversial anymore because they're being proven to be true, often associated with claims of advanced technology that allows the transmission of sounds or voices directly into an individual's mind. Now, I'm one of these conspiracy theorists. Hey, you call me a conspiracy theorist. I have a freaking show that's dedicated to this kind of fringe things. I was a conspiracy theorist before it was trendy. Okay, it's almost trendy to be the person that questions the norm nowadays. But me being called crazy, I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me one bit. But if you spoke about this type of technology, if you spoke about it, we'll even say what? A decade ago? So we'll say 2016. You would have been called crazy. They'd say you're nuts. There's no way they have technology that the elite, the government, whoever you want to call them, are using against everyday people. Well, what I'm going to show you guys is we're going to take a look at a quick news report real quick about the congressional hearing. So this technology is being talked about in congressional hearings now, for the reason being there's something that's called Havana syndrome. Okay, if you guys don't know what Havana syndrome is, pretty much some officials that were in Havana, some government officials, started having all types of stuff happen to them. Like they were getting nosebleeds and all types of crazy stuff was happening to them. They were trying to say, oh, it was China that did it. It was, whatever. It was Iran that did it. It was whoever. They're trying to blame it on everybody. But actually, come to find out, under congressional hearings. Now, you can go watch these whole congressional hearings. They just recently had them. You can watch the whole thing. It's over an hour long. It's mind-blowing what they talk about in these congressional hearings and what they actually admit to. Blows my mind what they admit to. The fact that they have and will and can target individuals with this technology. And do I believe that a lot of scenarios where, for example, somebody snaps, takes out their whole family and then takes themselves out, and they happen to be just, a person that's just convenient for them to go away. Do I believe this type of stuff is used for? Absolutely. There's people now, mind you, a lot of the people that reach out to me about this, a lot of them are kooks. Okay. The stuff I see, I've dealt with this. Goes into the field of gang stalking almost, because people will say, "Oh, they're targeting me. They're following me around. I'm hearing stuff in my head." Now, this is why they can get away with it, because it mirrors mental illness in a sense. They can say, "Oh, the person's hearing voices because they're mentally ill." It's not no type of technology that's putting anything into their heads. They're just a nut job. So they can use that in their defense to say, and people will believe it. For the most part, I think people will, even with people knowing the technology's out there, it's being used against people in this world, they will still say, "Oh yeah, that person's hearing voices in their head," or they unalived their whole family. Oh no, they're just nuts. They're not. This isn't. There's no foul play here. It's like I believe it was Mark Twain that said it. It is easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. And that's essentially where we are at right now. But we're going to go ahead and roll this clip from a news station that did a report on the Havana syndrome, about this being used. And remember, this was used in Venezuela as well. It was used by Trump when he went and got Mamdani, whatever his name was, the president of Venezuela. When Trump went and took him out of leadership down there, they used this type of technology. The guards were talking about, they said it was something they have never witnessed in their life. Nosebleeds, they were shaking, convulsing. They'd never seen anything like this technology that was used on them. But check this out. So they're doing actual congressional hearings about it. They've already done them. And like I said, you go watch my YouTubes, but check out this clip real quick.
Today on this mystery known as Havana syndrome. First, quick background on it. In 2016, officials at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba started reporting head pressure, ear pain, dizziness, and nausea, and they couldn't explain it. Then more of these cases started being reported, involving more than 1,000 American diplomats around the world over the last 8 years. These mysterious incidents, now referred to as Havana syndrome. An intelligence community report last year said it was unlikely that a foreign adversary was responsible. But now that's in question. A former Defense Department official says he believes indeed that Russia is behind the attacks. And he's going to join us live here in just a moment. Joint reporting by 60 Minutes. Russian investigative journalists and Germany's Der Spiegel say that U.S. officials indeed were targeted by Russian sonic weapons. That's the background. Now, these new developments that we alluded to, we're learning today this is all going to be the subject of a congressional investigation of some sort. News Station's Joe Khalil's live on Capitol Hill. What do we know, Joe?
Well, Connell, I can first tell you that the DNI coming out saying this was not an adversary, I knew a lot of sources who really pushed back on that conclusion. What I can tell you now is the House Intelligence Committee is working on an ongoing congressional investigation into Havana syndrome. That much we have confirmed. Now, oftentimes when the House or Senate Intelligence Committees open up these kinds of probes, they deal with classified information, which means information that sometimes comes from whistleblowers. That may very well be the case here as well, which means, unfortunately, a lot of what's going to happen is going to remain behind the scenes. But the person who's leading this effort here, Congressman from Arkansas on the Intelligence Committee, he put forward a statement, Rick Crawford, saying here, I'm going to read part of it here. It says, quote, "The care and protection of all personnel who serve our nation in the intelligence community, the diplomatic service, military, and missions they perform are the utmost importance." He says the House Intel Committee's investigative efforts on this continue and will continue until we are satisfied with the Intel community's response to this challenge. Now, we know lawmakers are going to be asking the basic questions. What is causing this? Who is behind it? But also deeper, where is this happening? Is this on American soil? If so, what are the ways we can stop it, Connell? A lot to uncover here.
A lot to uncover.
So, again, wild stuff when the conspiracy theorists. So how many is that for us now? Since the Big C event, since the those pokers. Okay, what else have we been right about that turned out to be true? It's just seeming left and right. It's seeming like now conspiracy theorists, even the term alone is interesting when you go look into where that comes from. But I think there needs to be a conspiracy realist now. I think a conspiracy theory needs to be something that lacks all credible evidence at all. There's no credible evidence whatsoever. But with these type of scenarios, especially when it's being pulled into congressional hearings and these government officials are admitting, okay, you have the alphabet agencies admitting that they're using this voice to skull technology to manipulate people, to harm them, now they were trying to be very vague about a lot of stuff, which I would imagine they would do. Okay, that doesn't surprise me one bit, that they're going to be vague in what they say. They're going to say, I do not recall. That's what you get a lot of these officials. That's how you know these people are lying sacks of shit, is when you see them in a congressional hearing. They pull the Jeffrey Epstein when he was getting questioned. I plead the fifth. Well, I plead the fifth. Well, I don't recall. Well, I don't recall. Well, I don't recall. That's the easiest way to tell in a court of law or in a deposition, in any legal setting, that somebody is just full of crap. Period. But my question is, they've admitted they have this technology now. How is there no oversight of this at all? Where is the general public getting involved in this? Okay, it's like we're handing over M80s and a lighter to a bunch of freaking 5-year-olds. That's what you're doing. We already know that the government and all their cronies cannot be trusted with the freaking national budget, let alone something that can cause this type of harm to people. Like, they're not going to, oh yeah, we got this technology that could really work in our favor, but we're not using it against anybody. It's not like we're going to use it against our enemies, or, and that's the thing is, American people would cheer it on if it was being used against our enemies. Oh, wow, you got a frequency wave you can shoot at somebody and their nose bleeds and they shit themselves. Let's use it. Let's use it against our enemies and show them what we can do. I don't think that's what people are worried about, though. The concern comes in is they've been known to use these types of new technologies against the American people, against the population. It's well within their capacity to do so, and they always have, and they always will, as long as everybody allows it to not have any type of oversight, because there is none. But what needs to stop is the people thinking that these types of things, although they proven to be weaponized, people don't think that they will be weaponized against you. I mean, you want to talk about frequencies that are being weaponized against you? All you need to do is look at your data centers. You guys don't really believe that they need all of those data centers. I seen a report the other day. They said data centers are now at like a 6% of the total power used in the whole United States comes from data centers. And people really believe that's just so you could say, oh, hey, Chat GPT, I'm looking for a good recipe for cornbread. No, that is not for anybody that even has a rudimentary understanding of how computers work, coding, AI technology, any of that type of stuff. I have an extensive knowledge in computers, and I'm telling you, they do not need centers that big with that type of computing power. If they did, you guys really better be terrified then, because I can assure you, it is not just to run AI. Those are not just AI servers. You could use one of those major mega data centers to fuel all of the AI in the whole United States and beyond. There's more than enough room to run servers out of that. What they're doing is these data centers, as I've said before, with all this other type of stuff, I've made it pretty clear. That was what last episode we talked about CERN and everything. It ties into all that. So essentially, from my research, from what I've seen from Voice to Skull, because I've seen a lot of cases of it, I've seen cases where I was like, there's no way that they didn't put that onto that family, and the guy ended up unaliving his whole family, and they're like, oh no. And he was a government official. He had a whistleblower. There's so many cases that don't make the news of that type of stuff happening. But they absolutely are tying all of this together. That's what people need to understand is people are like, oh, it's the data centers, or oh, there's CERN, or oh, there's voice to skull technology. It's all of them. They're all intertwined together based off my research. But what we need to think about, well, I would say people in my field pretty much need to think about it, is I've heard from other fellow content creators that are into the same type of, talking about voice to skull technology, all this type of stuff. They said they were hit with frequency style weaponry, that they felt it, that they were in cars and were hit with it and felt it. And they had asked me if I was ever targeted by it. I'll tell you this. For a while, I had like this dizziness that wouldn't go away. It was, that's the best way I could explain it, but it was weird. It wasn't like a dizziness. I almost felt like I was being targeted because I was having these. So I went to the doctor, had my blood drawn, everything. I mean, everything from, I even went as far as, I was like, it's time to get checked up on everything. I had a full body scan done of everything, looking for cancers or all types of stuff, and everything came back fine because I was just concerned about that. I was like, why am I having these dizzy spells for no reason? It doesn't make any sense. So to me, I've been there. I felt like I've been targeted by this technology. I've been there personally. And I can tell you that as I've said before, this is a type of technology that if they provably have it, they've already admitted they have it. We need to be in control of it, not them. That's what I can tell you. And I think that's where a lot of this type of stuff comes about and ends up happening, is because we give them an inch, they take a mile. So they're essentially seeing how much more can we admit to? How much more can we put on the table? What did they do with the whole Epstein thing? So you mean to tell me we all know that the people in control are a bunch of satanic, cannibalistic, child-eating pedophiles, and we were all over it for months, and then now nobody gives a shit? So think about that. So they're going to continue to get away with whatever they think they can get away with. Now they're saying they literally have weapons to control your mind. And honestly, I think they're using it on these people that you can't get sense into them. You can't beat sense into them. You could give somebody all of the facts in the world and they still will not change their mind on certain topics. And that's not intelligence. People say they're intelligent, but they're unwilling to learn new information. That's how your level of intelligence is tested. Can you take on new information and re-update? If a computer could only hold a certain amount of stuff and that was it, you couldn't store nothing new in it, you couldn't clear new old stuff out and put new stuff in, that would be a shitty computer. Would it not? So why are we normalizing people that can't take on new knowledge and retrain the way they think? That's such a linear way of thinking. I've never understood that. But I can tell you this. They're proven. Mind control is here. Okay? They don't have to mind control you guys now. According to this, they don't have to mind control you guys no more with the media, with Hollywood propaganda, with all of the old ways of doing it. Now they have the ability to just shoot it right into your head. And that is beyond wild. That is insane. And honestly, I thought about this today. I was thinking about it. I said, you know what? It's amazing how in the Bible it speaks about a time where there will be a great delusion that will fall upon the people. And God's going to allow this delusion to happen. So when you think of all this type of stuff, like Jesus will say they said, "Come here, that I'm back." Jesus explains about how they're going to try to fool you. But think about it. And it says that these antichrists, because there will be antichrists along with the antichrist. So these deceivers and false teachers are going to do miracles and wonders. Think about it. How would they be able to do that supernaturally if they don't have physical power? It would come from technology. So literally the Bible is talking about technology long before any type of technology existed. What did they have back then? The wheel? So think about that. And that ties into the part of the Bible that says in the end times there will be an overflowing of knowledge. What do we have now with your AIs and your chat GPTs and all the stuff we have now with the internet mixed in? We are living in the total rise and age of information beyond belief. But people are getting dumber by the day. Go figure.